This is Matt for Into Boxing. Delighted to be joined once again by Johnny Nelson. Johnny, sorry I know I've interrupted your little light snack throughout the day, but important. We've got a huge fight night coming up for Sky. Richard Riakporhe main eventing. Tough fight is Turchi. What do you make of it?
I think his only loss was to Tom McCarthy on split decision. I think again, Richard, if he's in the position where he should be, where he's at now, I think he should establish a success through this to say, look, I'm in touch with this at world level. You're dealing with the Tommy McCarthy's of this world. So Richard's got to think, right, I've got to get the job in hand, use my speed, use my sport. Richard's one of those fighters that doesn't have the confidence to match his ability. His ability is coming, he's learning on the job, he's getting better each time, and you can see it coming. Got a great team around him, making sure they're doing everything correct. Each time he fights, he goes back and thinks, right, we're fixing this, and this. I love that energy, I love that attitude to think, right, this is how I'm working this. So again, this is another learning fight. And a learning fight as in to say it's in preparation for when that world title fight comes. And it's not just about the world title fight, it's about staying champion.
Yeah.
And so most fighters, that's their aim, to become world champion. That's not what it should be. But once you've got there, it's to blast through those doors, because once you've got it, you still need the same hunger, desire, attitude to defend it.
I think many people talk about becoming champion, but you just made a good point there. When you become champions, where it gets difficult, because you're everybody's target, and can you maintain it? Can you keep that belt? And you know as good as anyone how tough that is.
And the problem is this: you spend more time chasing what's not the most important thing, which is becoming world champion, than you do being a world champion and staying world champion. Yeah. And so everybody on the way up thinks it's so hard to become world champion, and the real battle is staying world champion. That's the real battle, because it comes with a lot of responsibility, self-belief, self-confidence. You all of a sudden make a target of yourself. Richards is a target already, he's not even world champion. Yeah. And all the domestic fighters are looking, thinking, I could do it. You know, it looks beatable, I can get that. And then they get in there, they feel the power, they feel what he's capable of doing. Of course, domestically, you've got the likes of Lawrence Okoli, or even your likes of Isaac Chamberlain, that's there hanging about, good fighters. And people it's too easy to forget what's around there. So Richard pulling off a world title could open the doors for some wicked domestic tear-ups for a world title.
Yeah, you mentioned Isaac there. I love watching Isaac, great fighter. I'm very cautious of time, so I want to move through things a bit quickly. Ben Whittaker signed for Boxer. When I spoke to Eddie months back, he was like, we'll break the bank for Ben, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he's signing for Sky. How big of a coup is this for Sky? I know they paid a lot of money for him, but you get what you pay for. How impressed are you with Ben Whittaker from what you've seen?
Eddie Haney's not the only promoter that was after Ben Whittaker. I mean, he was sought after all over the pond, all over the world. Sky managed to, create a deal that worked for him. They managed to create a deal to say, look, you could be like top dog. If you can back up the boss and know what you're doing, this could be you. You could be that channel. You could be our AJ. And so it's for Ben, it's good business, and that's what he's done.
What do you make of how Ben portrays himself? He's got a really good personality, and I think that's obviously, although you can have all the ability in ring, people obviously forget boxing's a business. You've got to be marketable, you've got to be sellable. What do you make of Ben as this? I don't want to say character because it is him, but what do you make of him?
No, he is a business, and he is a salesman as well. He sold himself. I like how he talks to the press. Yeah. I liked how he talks about himself. I like how he talks about he's either going to rub you up the wrong way and then be like Marmite, or you're going to think, I like that attitude. He's a reincarnation of a mixture of David Hay, Naz, Floyd Mayweather, in all the things he's saying and how he's acting. He's just got to back up the boast.
Another huge fight that's landed on Sky as well. We've got Undisputed, Devin Haney, Kambosos Jr. This is a great fight, Johnny. Talk to me about this fight. Devin's going over there into the lines then to say, you know what, you call me the email champion, I'm going over there to try to take all the belts. What do you make of the fight?
That shows true confidence and self-belief, because Devin could say, no, we're going to do it somewhere else. Because realistically, you look at him, you think, you know what, I could command that. You want this big fight if dollars are there, but I actually think that this is a really good fight. I think Devin Haney, the guy's a talented individual, a talented fighter, and it's not just about what he can do; it's what he knows he's capable of doing, getting the opportunity.
You think he wins?
I do think he wins. I think his hand speed have been mad. I think we're talking mid to late stoppage.
Mid to late stoppage?
Because of wear him down. I think his work rate is mad. His punch variation is ridiculous. I've seen it firsthand.
I can't wait, it's going to be a good fight. Another fighter is coming back to boxing, which I'm very pleased about. Deontay Wilder has announced he's coming back, he's going to carry on fighting. How pleased are you to see the bronze bomber come back? There's a lot of big fights out there for him still.
There are big fights out there, and you know what, I think now he's managed to sit back, take stock and think, right, I'm getting back into it again. The problem's going to be who he fights. The problem's going to be how much he's going to command. The problem's going to be how much he wants it. He's a multi-millionaire. Yeah. Is he happy to come and box for a measly 4 or 5 million? I don't know. So it's a case of why he needed the break and what his ambitions are now. Is that because Tyson Fury officially has retired? You don't know, but I think he's a great addition to the heavyweight scene because he's that character, he's that fighter that you think, wow, he's back. He's dangerous, he's always dangerous.
Absolutely. Amir Khan, Brook, we haven't spoke for a while, so I just need to ask you about this. They've both called it a day. Are you quite pleased how this has turned out, as in sensible heads?
More than happy. I love the fact that Amir Khan announced it, Brook announced at the time retirement, and then Amir Khan's come along and kind of
piggybacked in a bit,
rained on his parade. Well, I'm so glad because I'm one of those fighters that like to hear a good story. A fighter's walking away with everything intact and got money. Because forever you're hearing the promoters are walking away better off than the fighters and the TV company. So I think it was good to hear, very good to hear. And it was very hard for both fighters to say, no, I'm done. Because you had the likes of Conor Benn that were there, that they kept paying a good few million to fight him. And they just wouldn't do it. And I'm not saying it wouldn't beat Conor. What I'm saying is, why would you do that? Why would you even risk that?
It wouldn't have been a bigger moment than what they both had in the ring, I don't think.
That's what.
Canelo, Ggg, the trilogy. Great fight. It's going to be a big event. What do you make of that? Golovkin is another year older, but it's still a good fight. And do you think people will have any doubts now about Canelo, or will they look at it and say, no, he was just a little bit small?
I scored the first fight I thought Ggg won, the second fight I thought Canelo won, the third fight I think, looking at the two of them, even though Canelo I think is now slipping, I think the last 5 fights, 2 of his fights I thought have been below par. So I thought, is it complacency or is it the fact that he's been boxing since he was 15? He's tired. Ggg, I don't think Ggg would have fought it was. I expect Canelo to win. Expecting Canelo to just have that little bit too much for it. So I think he'll make it 2-1 as it should be, not 2.5.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'm hoping I'm going to be there for it. Last thing from me, came out on the internet yesterday, Anthony Joshua. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Adam Smith says he hadn't seen the video. He went into a student accommodation to tell these students, look, you've got to be careful who you're talking to, because apparently they were shouting stuff at him about Tyson Fury. What did you make of it? I'm sure you've seen it. You must have seen it. What do you make of that scenario? He was sort of trying to give him a bit of game about, don't say this.
So let me just help you. So when social media's created a lot of cowards, because they want to say stuff that they'll never say to someone's face, and so all of a sudden they're saying things that you can't really do anything, so I can do what I want. It's like poking a lion that's in a cage. If the door was open, you won't poke the lion. So why all of a sudden would you do that? We saw Mike Tyson on a plane. Someone was goading him on the plane, thinking, would you do that to anybody else? So and especially someone that you know could rip your head off. Why would you do it? You're doing it because you think he can't do anything back, so I can tease and poke. And so these people are human. Anthony Joshua's human. Mike Tyson's human. So if you're going to create drama and mock and argue and give people stick, expect it back. So Anthony Joshua didn't put his hands on them. He gave them his words back. So they want to say stuff to Anthony Joshua. So he said, all right, let's see if he can handle what I'm saying. So if his words alone scared them, job done, because they did it to him. They did exactly the same thing. What I'm saying is, social media's created a lot of cowards. And to me, it's not fair because, and whatever you're writing, whatever you're saying, you're talking about a human being, someone's father, brother, mother, son, whatever. Why is it any different because of the job you do? So what Anthony Joshua's done, said, hold on a minute, what are you doing? And so I don't knock him for it. Okay, the language is a little colourful or whatever. He's got to get a point across to say, oh, what are you doing? What's all that about? To put the fear of God into him, because it's all right having an opinion and saying, well, I don't think you're very good. That's cool. But if you're going to be goading someone and goading them, what do you expect? So I personally, just my personal opinion, I personally think, well done.
Yeah, I think he was almost trying to school them, give them a bit of game about, you know what, I'm coming to you and telling you this, you don't know who you speak to. They could say that to the wrong person in the street, and it could escalate.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Social media has created cowards. You're right, many people come up to you and say, you're right, mate, and then they'll write some nastiness on social media. Why would you do that if you wouldn't say that to the face? Because you don't want the reaction, you don't want it. I don't understand what gives people the right to think, well, I can say that to you, and you can't do anything back. It's not fair. It's just not right. So with Anthony Joshua doing it, with Mike Tyson doing it, they've just put a lesson across to say, yo, Mike Tyson went there and put his hands on a man. You know, there's no charge of being pressed. Anthony Joshua stood there. You look at the 6'6" size of him, you think, oh shit. You know, it kicks in. This has happened many times before with other sportsmen and women, and they've responded. You've just not caught it on camera. It's not fair. It shouldn't be done. And so remember, Anthony Joshua's a victim here because they were giving him shit. But he's getting it back because he gave it back. Every reaction is from an action. So that's a reaction from what was happening before. So to me, I just think, you know what, sometimes just be careful what you wish for.
It's a strange world we live in. Johnny, look, I appreciate you giving us some time, you always do. Thank you for talking to us.